Hello, everybody. I got some weird music I just randomly started playing just because
I
I
was
didn't
saying, I
have any
thought that was in
intro.
my head.
No,
I thought that
I
was
added
something
it.
jingling in my
Or
head.
you know what? How about this? Oh, yeah. Welcome to this special episode of Chasing Labels. With me, Stephen Billings, back here for this special one with, of course, your main host of Chasing Labels, Andrew Cabral. How's it going, man?
Going good. Yeah, we are back here once again but this time it's a little bit different. It's not an episode of Chasing Labels. It's Chasing Labels adjacent, where we will be going over some of our favorite releases that we've probably talked about on the show at some point during 2024. And it probably won't be everything that we want to talk about or everything that probably needs to be talked about, but at least it'll probably run the gamut of a lot of stuff that people are familiar with, at least.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, even though I've been gone for half the year, I took let Andrew take over full time around June, July, and even though I haven't been around, I still collect. Andrew knows this.
Mm-hmm.
Not as vigorously as I was before. That's part of the reason I left, was to try to find a way to hide myself from buying so much. That was a portion of why I left. But a lot of what I left is because I needed to step away and do some other things. So, but I still collect, and I still have a lot of great releases, I think, that you'll be familiar with to talk about. And I'm sure me and Andrew share some of the same love for some of the same releases throughout the year. So, yeah, we'll just be going kind of back and forth, just kind of, if we both have maybe the same thing, we'll both, bring it up, talk about it.
And if Steven has something that I don't, I'll probably chime in on it as well.
Sure.
Because there were some things that I had wanted to talk about and get that I ordered actually for the episode. And of course, this time of year, if you order anything, it'll never arrive when you want it to, basically.
Unless it's from Orbit DVD.
Ironically, it was from Orbit DVD.
Damn it. Why would you do that?
I even paid more for like fast shipping, and it wasn't their fault. It's the the New Year holiday is
it could be that there was a snowstorm or a rainstorm that went through there that's still fucking up the whole,
Well, I did it earlier this week, so getting it in time for the show would have been tough anyway. Yeah. Because of the holiday, I shipped it UPS, and UPS wasn't working on the first anyway. So that was one business day that doesn't count in the whole.
It's your fault.
3 business day things. But maybe it'll be something that pops up that Steven talks about, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe. And if it doesn't, I'll mention it at the end of the show anyways.
All right.
And some other big things.
We got Jeff K here. He says evening.
Okay. He says evening. Good evening, Jeff.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Sorry for
No. So I got new headphones over the holiday, so I'm still adjusting to those things. So there's an echo going on in my head right now. It feels like just like I'm in like a giant tunnel or a giant warehouse. Okay. And you know how you echo? You like yell out and it yells back at you? That's what it feels like in my head right now. Driving me insane.
Okay.
But I don't know who wants to go first. Do we flip a coin or
I'll go first,
paper, scissors for it?
Since I haven't been here in a while. I'll start us off. They heard a lot of you over the last 6 months. So I'll come in first. So I guess I'll start with some ones that are more like towards the beginning of 2024, kind of work our way towards the end, if I can remember when these all came out. But this one was one you actually turned me on to. This was one you'd watched it for the show, gave a pretty high recommend on it, and then talked about it on the show. And I was like, I got to see this movie. So I just bought it and was amazed. I was like, this is incredible. Singapore Sling. One of my favorite releases of this year, Discovery. Beautifully photographed, black and white film about these two, for lack of a better term, crazy bitches that it's just, if you've ever seen the movie, what's the one with Clint Eastwood? He gets
The Beguiled.
The Beguiled. It's like The Beguiled with women serial killers,
but darker.
But darker. They kind of take them hostage, and just do sexual things, painful thing, you know, I'll run the gamut. And then his I guess was it his fiance is coming to look for him, and she gets kind of caught up in it as well. But it's very surreal, kind of artsy type of film as well. So it's not like straightforward. So it's not for everybody, but you can't deny the filmmaking chops in this movie. I think the movie came out in the 90s, and it's just so beautifully photographed. Make sure on the date, 1990 exactly. So yeah, Singapore Sling was one that I really was surprised by, especially when I read what it was about. And then Andrew was like, it was at least a 4-star review. I think you gave one. I was like, oh, that's
It
pretty
was, because it's such a bold movie
old. Yeah.
that's like doesn't hold back, doesn't pull any punches. Yeah, dark, sinister type of film. It's physical torture, sexual torture, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow, I can't believe
Yeah.
they made this movie. I can't believe this is a thing.
But
And
it's
the
one
cover
of them.
it
It's one of them few surprises. Vinegar Syndrome. Every once in a while, you know, like I have my differing opinions on Vinegar Syndrome. Sometimes I feel like they're just putting out trash to put out trash. But then, like, you know, which they are.
right.
But then
Mhm.
other times they bring out like something you don't expect that is like, I'm like, whoa, like that's cool. And this was one of them. This is one of them for me.
Yeah, it's also I was saying that cover is so grabbing.
Yeah.
Like, it's such an interesting release. For me, I'm gonna go a little more mainstreamish because there's a couple of me like more studio-esque stuff I have to put on here just because the releases were so good that I couldn't help myself. First up here is kind of a personal pick, and that is Paramount putting out Bringing Out the Dead,
Good one.
the
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese film that had been stuck in DVD world forever, seemingly. And then they finally, woke up and decided to put it out not only on Blu-ray but in 4K as well. This is their Paramount Presents number 47, starring Nicolas Cage plus John Goodman plus a bunch of other actors in here. And this is um the movie that I think, that it was done in, I suppose, another 90s film coincident. Wasn't it 99? I think it was 99.
Yeah, it's like towards the end of the 90s. Yeah, 98.
And something like that. And it's such an underrated Martin Scorsese film. Like I said, it was, just stuck in DVD world for so long. I think that's why a lot of people just didn't really talk about it too much. Written by Paul Schrader, the last film I think Paul Schrader wrote for Martin Scorsese. And this edition isn't like a super packed all frills on hand edition, but you do get 1, 2, 3, 4 new features on here, which are really
interview.
great.
You get a Nicolas Cage interview, so
Yeah, you get a film. You get, of course, Scorsese talking about it. You get Nicolas Cage talking about it. You get Paul Schrader talking about the movie, and then you get cinematographer Robert Richardson talking about the movie. Talk about cinematography. This movie's takes place all at night.
Yeah.
It's about Nicolas Cage is an ambulance driver. He's an EMT in the wee hours of the morning in New York. Not a big stretch for Martin Scorsese to do a New York film. And and this is very much a companion piece to Taxi Driver, in the sense that it's like down in the doldrums of like dirty late night New York, driving around and just kind of the crazy things that you see and the kind of horrors that you see. And then Nicolas Cage's character is like slowly losing his mind. And Nicolas Cage losing his mind in a movie is not something we haven't seen before, and he does it so well. He does it so well. Yeah. But I just had to put the plug this just because it was such a nice surprise for this to finally come out.
Yeah. If you're not aware, you should be aware by now. This is the third year, but Shelf Shock Rewind is doing its voting now this month, and one of the categories is best home video restoration or upgrade or whatever, home video upgrade. This is the one. I think to me,
going from DVD to 4K is a hell of a jump.
It is, and just DVD to 4K. Yeah, it looks so much better, and the audio I think is an upgrade as well. And it's just one that people have been just vying for so long, that I think it's between that and maybe something like another one I'm going to talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah, don't spoil it now.
Some of the best upgrade work. So Yeah, but yeah, that's a shout out, of course. Shelf Shock, rewind, get to your voting, do your research, watch some special features. You don't have to pick from the selection. You can write your own selection in if you want. But back to what we're doing. Josephine, of course, has joined us, saying she had a great holiday and hope we did as well. Not too bad. Me and Andrew both had some hectic personal things going
indeed.
on, but otherwise, pretty good. And she's doing, of course, some reading and some recent watches. Let's see, Onward, Day of the Beast. That's the is it
Alex de la Iglesia.
Yes.
Yeah, I know because I watched one of his movies last night.
Did you know?
Well, Last Circus, which is a movie he did in 2010, is getting a release from one of the partner labels.
Yeah. God of Cookery. Yesterday Once More, Bedazzled, the original Bedazzled.
That's the original.
Yeah. And yeah,
Jeu de Fête is a Jacques Tati film. It's the first Jacques Tati film in that box set from Criterion.
Oh, okay.
It's like a French Charlie Chaplin. That's what that movie is.
Sounds wonderful. But all right, let's get back to it. Let's see, what do we got? Something. I guess let's stick in the somewhat Vinegar Syndrome land. So this is, of course, speaking of Shelf Shock, another category is Best New Label. I think this is the runaway. Maybe we'll see. Cinematograph, and in their first release, Little Darlings. Oh, it was a really good release. You got it there with you too.
Yeah, I was going to talk about it too. So. Guess we're doubling up.
Yeah. Not only, of course, Best New Label, but I think that, there's a choice for a best packaging. That.
Whether it's a box set or whether it's some type of deluxe edition, the way things are packaged and whatnot, there's always something like that. And I do like the kind of bringing back the digibook design. Bringing this back.
Well, it's a combination of digibook and different textures. Going to like a kind of a book style. Like I love it. It's he really thought this out. And just is really thinking about the collector when he's coming up with this stuff. Justin Liberty over there.
That's Justin Liberty, who runs kind of the OCN but does a lot of other stuff. This is kind of his main passion project line for this year, and they're coming out, I think, with another announcement this month as well. They just did one for the partner labels, or they just did one for the subscribers week this week, but they're coming out with another announcement, I think the 13th, which is not this coming week, but the following week. So there's already like a dozen of these out in 1 year.
Yeah, there's some that I've liked and some that I'm not as interested in, but I mean that's honestly I'm trying to become pickier like you. But the Little Darlings was another great discovery. I had never seen the film and thought that it was a great coming of age story, very raw, very uncompromising when it came to young people dealing with sexual situations and things like that. I thought that it was a refreshing film to see, because when we deal with that subject matter, it doesn't always get handled. It either goes way too over the top or it doesn't do enough. And I think that it hits a nice sweet spot in this film. And good performances.
For a film from the early 1980s, typically 1980s teenage coming of age comedies are very sophomoric. They're very, I'm thinking of Revenge of the Nerds. I'm thinking of Porky's. I'm thinking of those types of movies. And this is very much not that. It takes those things more seriously and more earnestly and more honestly. But this edition here has 2 audio commentaries. It's got an hour-long interview as well. Of course, it's got a video essay, and it's got a book with essays in it as well. So each of them are kind of structured in the same way. Coincidentally, I've got Red Rock West here too.
Another good one.
So I was going to pair them both together.
You got more Nicolas Cage than I do.
I guess so. I didn't even think of the whole Nick Cage connection until now. But yeah, Red Rock West, which I think was another really, really good release from Cinematograph this year. So if that's your choice, Steven, kind of swindling one of mine. I'm gonna go with an Arrow release. Arrow had a hell of a year. So I'm gonna go early, well, probably a mid-year release, and that is American Gigolo, the movie that is a Paul Schrader film, and it's starring Richard Gere, early Richard Gere performance. This is, oh goodness, going all the way back to the early 1980s, literally 1980, I believe. So this was an early Paul Schrader film, and this was another one that desperately needed an upgrade. The old Blu-ray that's probably about 10 years old or so, just didn't look very good. Just didn't look very good. Not that a lot of Paul Schrader films particularly look amazing, but definitely better than what we were getting. And this is the 4K UHD release. This also came out on Blu-ray as well. Unfortunately, Arrow is just doing, if you buy the 4K, you get the 4K. If you buy the Blu-ray, you get the Blu-ray. No more of the combo pack deals. But it is their usual, hard outer box with the keep case inside. Plus, I think it's a hardcover book. Nope, soft cover book. Plus, like poster with reversible art as well. But yeah, this is a movie about Richard Gere is, as you could guess by the title, an American gigolo. And he's going through a bit of an existential crisis within it. Not a bit, yet again, not too much of a stretch for Paul Schrader to have a man going through an existential crisis at some point in his life. That seems to be a recurring theme throughout most of his work. But the movie looks fantastic. I love the cover art here. And yeah, much needed upgrade. A lot of good Arrow stuff this year. This thing was kind of loaded with special features as well. If you can look on the back, huge paragraph there full of stuff. But yeah, a really good release from Arrow.
Awesome. Josephine wanted to know how my daughter was. She's great, even though she keeps hurting herself. She chipped a tooth and she fractured her wrist over the last couple months.
Goodness.
So she's done some things. She just doesn't know how to calm down. She's getting crazy. She's 2.5 years old and she's running wild already. So, but she's fine. She's doing great. She's, as we're speaking, trying to go to sleep. She's like tossing around her crib, moving around her pillows, just making me have to keep paying attention to her. So if you ever see me stop like I did a minute ago, where I was kind of like, it's probably because I'm paying attention to her. So, but all right, I will move into something. Let's go over to one of the best labels out there. You've got to be going right now. Second Sight. And one of their big releases of the year, I think, Green Room. Was it Jeremy Saulnier is the director, and this stars Anton Yelchin, who is always I always have a close connection with because we have the exact same birthday. I always say this: we literally were born on the same day. Unfortunately, he did pass on us. Tragic accident, but I've always liked him as an actor. He's in one of my favorite movies, Charlie Bartlett. I love that movie. And he's really good in this film, where he plays a bass guitarist in this punk band. And they are doing, the band thing. I know about the band thing. And they're touring. They're living off in people's houses, like friends' houses and stuff. And then they go and do this punk show down in the woods where there are neo-Nazis. And they see something they're not supposed to see, and then they kind of get stuck in the green room and barricade themselves in the green room. And yeah, shit happens. And if you've ever seen Jeremy Saulnier's other films, you get the idea that there's usually violence, usually pretty raw violence. If you've seen Blue Ruin, which came before this, you'll know what we're talking about. So this was a great release, great 4K. A lot of good features as well. Of course, I don't have my graphic card to know all the features right offhand, but I know that this came with a Alexander Heller Nicholas commentary, I believe.
I think she wrote an essay on it.
Oh, was it an essay? Okay.
Yes.
I'm thinking of another Second Sight release.
Yeah, you probably are. So there's two audio commentaries. There's a new one by Reina Cervantes and Prince Jackson. Then there's an audio commentary by Jeremy Saulnier. There's like a new interview with composers. And of course, you get a 120-page book, which is legitimate. That's a legitimate book.
Oh yeah.
Um, rather, rather thick in size. And in typical Second Sight fashion, the movie looks amazing, and it's a newer film. I think it came out 2016. I think is when that movie came out. So it's a relatively newish film. So it's not going to look bad to begin with. But of course, I believe it's making its. It made it. This is its premiere in the 4K format because before it, I just had a Blu-ray release put out by A24, at least over here. But in typical Second Sight fashion, it's a solid, well worth thing to pick up. A little
Oh yeah.
expensive, and also I'm glad you mentioned it because this limited edition is becoming harder to find.
Yeah.
Our usual places that we go to, Orbit DVD, Diabolic, Grindhouse, they didn't have it in stock when I looked recently. And I don't know if the main site, Second Sight, has it, but I ended up getting mine from Savvy US, so I had to
Yeah.
get it through them. And I don't know if they have any left, but that's how I got it. And I bought it. I bought it for Christmas. Actually, it was one of my
Sure.
Christmas gifts to myself.
All right. Jeff K is asking, how are you guys deciding on your picks? Picture quality, features, packaging. Well, obviously, look, the title is favorites, so we're not looking at this list as like these are the best of the year. So when it comes to if you're asking about our taste and what we thought that why these are our favorites, well, I mean, it's usually a combination of all things. Sometimes there's a bias because of, if it's my favorite, I love this movie, and they did a great upgrade on it or something. There could be bias in that way, or it's like a favorite director or something like that. But like, usually when a release has a little bit of everything, I feel like that the label brought some effort into all aspects, even packaging, but I think the quality of the picture and having some great supplemental stuff is what matters the most. Is that's what you're buying, like really. So like,
Yeah, and I think some bias does go into it as
it
well.
does. It's our favorites. It's not what we think is the
Yeah,
best. So
yeah, it's yeah. Best and favorites are usually two different things.
sure,
And what's interesting is that, like for example, Bringing Out the Dead is probably not one of the quote unquote best of the year because it doesn't have an extensive extras package or anything like that, or even like fancy packaging. It's got a slipcover that opens up via like Velcro or something that
yeah,
shows the movie poster. But that's nice, but it's not like a super deluxe edition, like a Second Sight, like we just showed. That's
yeah,
kind of a super deluxe thing. Um, Even this next one that I want to talk about, a good transition there, um, is is not something that I think is extensively deluxe. Like it's just kind of a regular case.
sure, yeah,
But it's The Cat and the Canary, which is the silent film from 1927, and this is put out by Eureka Entertainment. And what I think is unique about this, and why it's kind of on my favorites list, is that Eureka is finally making Region A releases. Kind of one of the few last major British labels that haven't made that transition yet. Obviously, the BFI hasn't done it, um, and Studio Canal hasn't done it either.
I mean, there's
And
only so many
Second
releases.
Sight hasn't done it either. Yeah,
There's so many, like that's the thing is it's like, to be able to be a company that can
do that.
do that means that they have the rights and the world rights to enough movies because
Yeah.
as you know, we see rights split so much,
I
and
was
it's,
thinking about that
you know,
recently, actually. I don't want to go off on a tangent, so you have to stop me. A lot of the rights for recent Kino releases went out of print very sudden, very very quickly. For example, as of right now, a lot of the MGM 4Ks that came out from Kino in the last 2 years or 2 years ago are all out of print. I'm
yeah,
talking like Killer's Kiss, The Killing, In the Heat of the Night, Manchurian Candidate, the original one from the 60s, and a couple of other ones are all out of print now. Some Like It Hot. And that was because they had the rights for like that window, and that was
yeah,
it, and they're gone. You know what I mean? And Eureka, I guess, has had mostly British rights for the longest time, and probably not US rights. So you see probably a lot of other companies put out their same titles here. We see that all the time. But The Cat and the Canary is one. I guess they had rights internationally, or they acquired
Yeah.
rights internationally. So you can get I think a UK version of this and a US version of this, and the US version of this sold out rather quickly. And this is a rather interesting kind of loaded release where you got like new audio commentary, you got new video essay on here as well. You've got a bunch of stuff going on here, and I was just nice to not have to import a Eureka release.
Well,
Usually,
what's
you either have to import them or you get them from Orbit or Diabolic or
well,
Grindhouse.
what I mean, like obviously, like the nice thing about when a label is able to make US releases, the main thing is if it's a 4K, it's about getting the special features, access to the special features easily. Because if it's a 4K, it's supposed to be universally unlocked to everybody.
Mhm.
But usually, a lot of times, the features are not included on the 4K, and they're on some extra Blu-ray that is region B locked.
That
So
does happen.
yeah,
And also, when it comes to them being able to have the US rights, it makes it easier for us to get, and also kind of affordability, really. Because
sure.
if you're kind of locked into only being able to buy it from certain places, you have to pay whatever that
You got
price
to
may
port
be.
it in. You got to port it in and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah,
for example, you could buy this on Amazon. You know what I mean? And it would be more affordable and more accessible to more people, and you can sell more, buy more. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
But yeah, this is a movie that's been adapted so many times. It's about this woman who, oh man, I haven't seen this in a while. Is that her? She's getting an inheritance from like a law, like an uncle that passed away many years ago, and so they all go to like this will reading, and surprisingly like she's getting this inheritance, but all of the other like family members want this inheritance, so people start dying off, and it's a murder mystery basically. It's kind of like Clue in the 1920s, but it's been adapted so many times. Like there was an American adaptation done like 20 years after this that I think got a Blu-ray release as well, I think through Kino. I think Bob Hope was in it or something, I can't remember. But I really like this release, and it's nice to get a silent movie from the 1920s on Blu-ray in general. Like that's
Yeah,
just an extra added bonus.
yeah. Good pick. Good pick. Um, I'll go to. Let's see. I guess I'll go back to. Well, let's go to a box set. I haven't done a box set yet. This is from one of my favorite labels, one of our favorite labels, Indicator. And I thought this was a great, we'd asked them when we talked to John and Sam about, if the noir, where's the noir series going to go? Are we still going to get more Columbia noir? Of course, we got some Universal noir now, but they extended the Columbia noir, but they've now made it more with like a theme. And this time we got the Whistler.
Nice.
And I just thought this was a cool set. I'd never heard of the Whistler. Another, a lot of my picks are going to be, some of them are going to be about discovering things. And that's what excites me about physical media and how through physical media, I can discover tons of things more easily than on streaming. Streaming, you just got so much bullshit on there. You don't know, you can't discover anything. But here, it's curated. They show you, they give you things that excite you about the film. And this series is a fun film series to get into because, first of all, they're so short. These movies are all like no more than an hour and a half. They're all like hour 15, easy to go through, really fun, kind of like Alfred Hitchcock Presents type of stories, with this Whistler character who's kind of like the overseer. He's kind of always around. He's sometimes the narrator, but these are fun stories. And a few of them are pretty good. Some of them are okay, but well worth the box set to get. I don't know if you've gotten this, but I know you've seen these films.
Coincidentally, I mentioned earlier the order that's still out in the ether that's I wanted to get here for today. That was in it because I wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
Because Indicator does such great box sets, and they didn't do too many of them this year. But that was one of the key ones. They did that. They did a Columbia horror box set as well. They did I think it was like a Spanish vampire double feature. Remember that was kind of a box set, but more of a double feature. But
Double
that was one
feature
of the
set.
box sets that they had put out. And Indicator puts out such good box sets. And
let me say this: I've heard some people complaining about their kind of restructuring of how their box sets are put together where they don't use the cases anymore. Like they used to like build the sets where they use plastic cases on the inside, and now they've kind of skinnied them down, and now they just use like the thin digipacky things. Stop complaining. like there's nothing wrong with them digipack things.
Well,
honestly, I like them, and it helps with shelf space. And
I was going to say, could you imagine 6 regular?
Dude, like,
yeah, because that wish list set is 6 movies long, so it would. I don't know if they would. You don't necessarily need to have 6 cases because those movies are so short.
You could double them up inside cases.
You could put 2 movies on one disc, and it would be fine in terms of compression and all that kind of stuff because they don't take up a lot of space. But I honestly don't mind it. I mean, if you're a big fan of uniformity, I kind of understand. Especially since the other Columbia sets, which I'm looking at right now, are all the thicker, more wider sets. This one's gonna maybe look a little odd on the shelf, but you still get the spine, you still get the wraparound ribbon. You still get the same good quality when it comes to the release in general. Like the movies probably look better than what you can find on YouTube. You can watch them on YouTube, like I did when we covered them on Chasing Labels, and they did not look very good. I'm pretty sure they look a heck of a lot better on those Blu-rays than they do on YouTube right now. And those movies are all from the 40s. Indicator likes to put out a lot of movies from a bygone era that doesn't really see a lot of love. Which I really, really like. I love that era of movies. They do that a lot with Columbia films as well, which is nice. Columbia had their 100th anniversary this year, which was also really, really nice. So we got a lot in terms of that stuff. Maybe I'll talk about that now. I don't know. Let me talk. Yeah, that's a good transition.
Wow.
So Columbia had their 100th anniversary. Sony, of course, has been in charge of their catalog for decades now. I think since the 80s, maybe earlier. Either way, they put out a bunch of stuff. One of the things that they put out are their Columbia Classics, and they put out Volume 4 and they put out Volume 5 in the same year. Now, I wasn't one who jumped on this train right away because I was going to wait until these came out individually, but it's taken them years to do that, and even releases from the first 2 volumes, which came out 3 or 4 years ago, still haven't come out individually yet, and the individual releases aren't quite the same as these. They don't. Some of them don't come with slipcovers. Some of them do. I'm a slipcover fiend, so I've got to get my hands on those. So I was like, I'll get them eventually. 1 and 2 are out of print and go for hundreds of dollars on eBay. That's maybe a lost cause. Maybe a lost cause.
You could have bought them from. You could have bought them from Dan. Dan sold his.
Oh, did he? Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
He should have waited. Hopefully, he waited until the market was where it is now.
I think he got a decent.
Yeah, I was gonna say because now those first 2 volumes go for so much, especially that first one.
He probably didn't get as much as he could have, but he got okay amount. Yeah.
I don't know if they're particularly selling well, at least the newer ones, because volumes 3 and 4 have been on sale on Amazon for like the last 2 months. Yeah. And like they're just trying to give away volume 3 at this point. Volume 3, when I bought it, was like below $70. And it's like it's like $10 a movie for 4K.
Look, I'm all about box sets. I'm all about box sets. But there's something about these type of sets to me that bother me a little bit because there's
no way you can really display them.
Well, there's no theme. It's just that they're random. Columbia's movies. Like I kind of prefer box sets that have some kind of theme, whether they're like it's from a filmmaker or a director or an actor. Like it's just here are some movies that we put out.
Yeah, it's like here's like it's like a greatest hits album.
It is, and that's fine, but they're not greatest hits of one person. They're greatest hits of a whole studio. And it's just too much stuff.
Well, I think of like Columbia Pictures is the band, and then these are like the greatest hits from that band. The thing is, when you start getting to volumes like 5 of a greatest hits, it's like, where are we going? You know what I mean?
It's just, just name off the movies in the set because it's just an eclectic.
Yeah, so it's like you go all the way from like the 30s all the way up to like 2002. You know what I mean? So it's a wide gamut. You've got His Girl Friday, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Kramer versus Kramer, Starman, the John Carpenter film, Sleepless in Seattle, the Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks film, and then you get Punch Drunk Love. The thing is with these sets, for me specifically, probably for a lot of other collectors, this is going to be double dipping, maybe even triple
Sure,
dipping,
maybe.
quadruple dipping at this point because His Girl Friday has been released by Criterion, I think on both DVD and Blu-ray,
Yeah,
and now there's a 4K here. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner's got a DVD
yeah.
release, it got a Blu-ray release from Twilight Time, it got a Blu-ray release from Sony, and now a 4K release from Sony once again. So that's like 4 releases that I can think of. Um, and Starman has gotten a Blu-ray release before. Sleepless in Seattle had gotten a Blu-ray release from Twilight Time. Punch Drunk Love has gotten a DVD release, I think a DVD and Blu-ray release from Criterion, and now a 4K re-release from Criterion. So these box sets, you know what I mean? You got to play the game of what's the value of them for you. You know what
Sure.
I mean? This is when it comes down to like packaging
I mean,
and
I love the
quality and
package
stuff.
and everything like that. It's just because it's very similar to like the Shaw Brothers sets. Like
Mm,
it just opens
same size.
differently. It just opens differently in
Yeah, it opens like
frontwards,
frontwards here.
display.
There's the
Yeah,
movies.
I like it. It's cool.
You know what? At least they put in some effort.
Yeah. I like the effort in them. I just don't care much for like
Yeah,
that type of like there's no theme to it. It's just the studio. I like if it was like Columbia Noir or if it was like
mm,
Sony's if they were like these are our this is Columbia Classics fucking 70s, where like
right.
an era, they pick an era or something. Like it's just kind of a mishmash of things, and I just prefer a little bit more of a narrow focus when it comes to
Yeah,
the
it's like I said, I I like the effort because a lot of the other
sure.
studios are not putting out that type of effort, this type of effort on their back catalog of stuff. Like Warner Brothers had their 100th anniversary last year, and they didn't do a whole lot
God,
other
it's
than they
terrible.
re-released a lot of their greatest stuff in 4K,
Sure.
but they didn't do anything like this inventive, if you will.
I tell you what, if anything, they did not pay attention to what good packaging looks like.
No, they
'Cause
didn't.
the packaging was terrible.
Yeah, I didn't buy
Like,
any of their like they remember they had those multiple movie sets where they like
yeah,
it was all stuff on Blu-ray they had released before.
crashed. It had to have crashed and burned because I didn't know
Yeah, they
anybody
like
that.
they put out like, like here's all the Lord of the Rings movies plus a bunch of these other Warner Brothers movies we've done
Yeah,
before. I mean, they re-released some in 4K like Rebel Without a Cause, Maltese Falcon,
I think the
the
only one I
greatest
have is Training Day,
yeah, Training Day they did. They
which I didn't
did
like. I didn't like
They did
the.
all the James Dean, all a
Yeah,
couple of Paul Newman films.
yeah.
Um,
I didn't like the 4K of that Training Day. At least the one time I
the one where
watched
they
it.
put out the Blu-ray case, but then they had to reissue it. A little quality control issue there.
Well, this was
Um,
just it was a quality of the restoration. Like I didn't like the it was like the darks were too dark and the lights were
mm,
too like it was. I didn't like how it looked.
yeah, I
But
do. I mean, now that we're kind of bashing Warner Brothers, they did put out this year. Warner Archive put out some good stuff this year,
oh yeah, Warner
and
Archive. Good.
I don't
Yeah,
know if you're going to include any of them in yours. I didn't in mine because the one release I would have is really tough to get right
I
now.
don't think I got any Warner Archive this year, not on purpose. It's just I just didn't get around
Yeah,
to it.
I got a few things. I mean, I actually just got it. It's upstairs. I forgot to bring it down. They've been putting out those Looney Tune Choice Collection
Yeah, yeah.
editions. They put out volume 3 and 4 plus an edition of volumes 1 through 4. I got volume 3. I still need to get volume 4. Those are nice. They put out some Hanna-Barbera stuff this year, which was really great. Like things like Yogi Bear and Scooby-Doo movies and such. That's
Yeah.
really nice because if there's something that is probably taking a hit. It's animation in high definition, especially old animation in high definition. We don't get a lot of that stuff. So anytime it comes out, it's kind of a plus, especially with Warner Brothers right now, with their back catalog of stuff. You never know what's going to be available where. Like they just took off a bunch of Looney Tunes stuff from their streaming service. And it's like, why do you have a streaming service if you're not going to put your catalog stuff on there? It boggles my mind. But Steven, what's your next pick? Because I went with Columbia Classics. What do you got next?
Um. We'll veer back over to Vinegar Syndrome for a second and talk about this cool Tenant release
Nice.
that they put out. This is an example of great packaging, with the doors here that the windows. And if this of course is a Roman Polanski film. I believe this was 76. I want to say was when it was released, but really cool movie. And it's funny enough, my most recent knowledge on Polanski actually came from watching another Polanski themed thing that came out recently from Imprint, the Roman Polanski box set, where it has 4 things in it, and one of it includes a documentary called Roman Polanski Wanted and Desired.
Ooh.
And I believe this was the movie he did right before the whole scandal started, where he got accused of doing what he did. So
it's well publicized. That documentary is a tough watch. I remember it was available on Netflix for the longest time. But yeah, that movie, I think it's the last. It's either that or Tess. That was like the last movie he made before he
Tess, I thought, was
exile.
the movie. Was it maybe Tess right before he left the country?
Mm-hmm.
Or was that the first movie he did when he started making movies again?
It's either one of the two.
Yeah.
It's either the one.
I think it's Tess is the one he made when after he left the country. It was the first movie he made when he got settled after he left.
Right.
I believe so. Yeah.
And that packaging on that is very nice. It like opens up like a windows.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, because he lives in an apartment building, and kind of like weird things start going on. And it stars him, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, it's got that kind of, he takes some of his, Rosemary's Baby type of surreal, weird. His movies always have like a kind of a sexual element to them in some way, whether it's evident, in your face or not.
That movie, The Tenant, reminds me of his earlier film Repulsion.
That's honestly
in an apartment building.
Yeah,
and it's Catherine Deneuve kind of like losing her mind in an apartment building. Like that's got the famous scene where like these hands are coming out of the walls and stuff. Heck of an effect. One of his earlier films, Knife in the Water. I always wish that someone would put that out on Blu-ray. I know Criterion has it on DVD. Not sure if it's still in print. Speaking of Criterion, though, might as well whip out some Criterions at this point of the game. Paper Moon, the Peter Bogdanovich film. I waited so many years for this to get a high definition release, and I ended up getting it in 4K and Blu-ray. And it's one of Peter Bogdanovich's best films. He had such a great run in the 70s with The Last Picture Show, as well as What's Up, Doc, and Paper Moon, starring Ryan and Tatum O'Neal. And this had been on DVD on my shelf for so long. So yet again, kind of a personal bias here, going from DVD to 4K, hell of a jump for me. And this is a movie that Tatum O'Neal won an Oscar for. I think she was the youngest Oscar winner ever until Anna Paquin did for The Piano in the 90s. The Jane Campion film, which coincidentally also has a 4K release from Criterion as well. Yeah. But this movie here is it's a road trip movie between Tatum O'Neal and Ryan O'Neal, and I think they're father and daughter in this film as well. And they're just on this road trip, and it's been so many years since I've seen it. Madeline Kahn is in this film as well, and she's fantastic. But this edition here, like I said, 4K UHD. It's got the Blu-ray. It's got an auto commentary with Bogdanovich. It's got an intro by Bogdanovich. It's got a new video essay by his biographer. There's a 3-part making of documentary on here as well. And that features like producers and Polly Platt and Laszlo Kovacs, who was the DP on the movie. It even has excerpts from a 1973 episode of The Tonight Show with Bogdanovich and Ryan and Tatum O'Neal. So really good release from Criterion. I know Criterion gets a little, kicked down on about, kind of just re-releasing stuff and then not putting a lot of special features into their newish releases, but this is a pretty good film.
Well, I don't know if you've probably said this, maybe you've noticed this during Chasing. I don't know if you said this, but have you noticed that they heard everybody complaining about the artwork being the same?
No, I didn't see that.
I mean, like, maybe I'm seeing it wrong, but haven't some of their re-releases recently had different artwork than the previous releases?
I would have to look because I didn't even notice.
because
Coincidentally,
didn't Paper Moon come out in Criterion before?
no,
I thought.
at least not on DVD.
Let me look, because I thought there was a recent release of theirs that I was like, that doesn't look like the previous release. When it
Well,
came to
remember they did
art.
that with Tree of Life. Is they had a completely different artwork for Tree of Life. Then they ended up changing it to something more like previously seen. But this was going back years. This is like the earlier days of Chasing Labels, or maybe even pre-Chasing Labels time. But this release here goes back to like that the digipack type of styling, because it is a 2-disc release. You get like something that looks like almost like a postcard-esque art going on here.
Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Wages of Fear. Did you see the?
Oh, they did change change it for Wages of Fear. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that when they
did.
announced it. Yeah.
I'm glad they did, because if you've seen the old artwork for the DVD and Blu-ray,
It's just a close up of the faces. Yeah.
It's just a screenshot of a scene in the movie, an amazing scene. It's kind of spoiler-esque scene towards the end of the film. But like, yeah, I did notice that, and it's really good artwork too.
Yeah, I hope that is something they're thinking about doing moving forward, because I think, I mean, I know it's a small thing, but I think if you're really trying to reintroduce in a new format, like, and you're going to get people to want to buy it again, just that small thing of like putting in that extra effort of artwork can go a long way for people. So yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see more of that. But since I went over to the shelf and grabbed a Criterion, since I'd thought about it, I was like, do I have a recent Criterion that? Oh, I do.
Because I could have made this whole list Criterion just because of personal bias. But what do you got?
Yeah, No Country for Old Men.
Ooh, you got that. Nice.
I did.
That's a nice release.
Yes, it is. One of my favorite Coen Brothers films. Honestly, one of my favorite films, because, I mean, I'm thinking about films that I kind of, as a cinephile, grew up as I was falling in love with cinema in my earlier days. This was a film that came out during that time. This came out, 2007. So I was graduating high school that year. And I was working at the movie theater. So I saw this movie in probably like midnight, like by myself or with a few friends, and watched this with them. And, you know, like, this was prime time for me as a movie fan. And just have always loved this film. Of course, Javier Bardem plays one of the best fucking psychos in this movie, on screen of all time. And Josh Brolin plays a very understated performance where he's the guy that comes across a lot of money and ends up being the bad thing. You know, but really love this movie. I wish the Coen brothers would do a movie more in this vein again. They've been kind of playing more in their funny times, you know, their funny movies, their more comical side of late. And I think this was the last time they played it serious.
They're kind of doing different stuff now. Like,
well, they're separated now.
They're both separated. They branched off. Like, one did Macbeth with Denzel Washington, and the other one did like a comedy crime film last year. So
that was the Driveway. Was that the one?
Isn't Driveway Dolls?
Driveway Dolls. That's it.
That may be the movie.
But yeah, I forgot about Macbeth. Joel Coen, I think, did that one, right?
Because it doesn't have a physical media release, because it was put out by Apple. Yeah. So it doesn't have a Blu-ray, doesn't have anything like that. Which really, really sucks. But continuing for me, coincidentally, I think No Country for Old Men may be my first Coen Brothers movie ever. So starting with that one, and then going back, I think I've said this on Chasing Labels, starting with that one, then going back to their earlier stuff, which are a mixture of comedies. Like Raising Arizona is far away tonally different than No Country for Old Men. The Big Lebowski, far away different than No Country for Old Men. No Country for Old Men is very much in line with like Blood Simple and what's that? Miller's Crossing.
Miller's
Crossing.
Things,
even
a little bit more serious.
Those are more the serious Coen Brothers stuff. And then there's the one with John Turturro where he's a writer, and I keep forgetting the name of the movie.
Oh, Barton Fink.
Yeah, Barton Fink. Yeah, there's that one, which is interesting. But I guess we'll stick with Criterion since we're doing Criterion. And guess box sets. This is Greg Araki's Teen Apocalypse trilogy. Totally effed up, The Doom Generation, and Nowhere. And this is a 4K UHD box set. You can buy it on Blu-ray as well. When this was announced, I was so damn happy because these I think were just in the process of being released individually, and I wanted to get those releases, and I had them in various like wish lists and buy later areas and various sites. And then this was announced, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'll just wait. I guess I'll just wait."
Yeah.
And and then this was announced, and I believe this has all of the special features that those editions were that had anyways. Plus, it's in 4K, so higher quality. Granted, these movies are like 90s low budget indie films. You know what I mean? Probably shot in, maybe 16 millimeter, maybe somewhere in that range. But these movies are kind of about Gen X and the existential crisis going on with Gen X in the 90s. If you know Greg Araki's work, kind of a lot of what his stuff is about is he has films that are dealing with like lost youth, teenage youth, going through existential crises, but he's not afraid to push boundaries past a certain point. When I think of Greg Araki, I think of other directors in his vein. I think of Harmony Korine, I think of Todd Solondz, I think of Larry Clark. Those people are all kind of looped into this area of making these indie movies that push the boundaries past where probably a lot of people can tolerate, if you will. But Doom Generation is very, very good, and thing is loaded with special features here on the back. Just too many to list off here for time being. I think these all come on their own disc. Maybe, hopefully, so. I'm just not lying to people. Not booklet here, then 3-disc set like such. Very simple packaging, nothing too wild here going on. The typical,
not quite a Wong Kar-wai set there.
No, it's not a Wong Kar-wai situation. It's not a Godzilla situation. It's not a Thin Pack situation. It's simple digipack packaging. I think these. Yeah, so Totally Effed Up has a 2K restoration, and then Doom Generation and Nowhere have a 4K digital restorations on them.
Yeah.
Like I said, plus more special features and whatnot. But yeah, really good 90s stuff. Also, if you're not aware, a lot of LGBTQ plus themes going on throughout these films. If you probably heard of a lot of his other films, Mysterious Skin with Joseph Gordon-Levitt probably is one of his most notorious films. Probably one of the darkest films you'll ever see. Coincidentally, I just watched Smiley Face, which is getting a Blu-ray release from one of the partner labels on OCN on Vinegar Syndrome. So there's going to be more Greg Araki stuff coming out. When it comes to his recent work, he's done a lot of television stuff. Like he directed episodes of like Riverdale and episodes of like 13 Reasons Why.
Whatever.
That Netflix series, which people both liked and hated for so many reasons.
And then nobody talks about it anymore. So.
Oh, because it went on for so long. Like it kind of went on way
like
past.
How many fucking reasons do we need?
it went off. It went off. But he did a Criterion Closet video a few years ago, and at that time I was like, oh, we're finally going to get his stuff. And lo and behold, all I had to do was wait, and we're getting more of his stuff. So, Steven, what's up next for you?
Let's go to another box set. You talked about Arrow earlier. This was another big discovery. What I love about this one is it introduced me to a sector of cinema that I was not aware of, and that is Brazilian horror, Coffin Joe, Inside the Mind. These are not going to be for everybody. They're not. I don't even know if they're all for me. But like I said, I'm all about I look at my collection as a library, so not everything in my library is maybe like always rewatchable. But one of the great advantages of this is that there's a lot of good supplements that help contextualize the time, that this is a specific importance in cinema history of like being like the first kind of like horror icon of Brazilian cinema. Like this was an important thing. So this comes with tons of films that either star Coffin Joe or are kind of Coffin Joe adjacent type of movies. And I'm not going to sit here and list them all, but there's a lot of them. And but it's a well put together set like Arrow always does. And it comes with a booklet, really well designed. I love the artwork on it. And yeah, I mean, like Andrew said, really good year for Arrow. Whenever they come out with something like this, where it's like, here's all the shit of this thing that you've never heard of, I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Coincidentally, we were talking about Alex de la Iglesia earlier. They put out an Alex de la Iglesia box set of those 3 movies.
Which they already done single releases, I think, of a couple of them.
Yeah, they had all gotten Blu-ray and 4K releases from Severin over here.
Yeah.
So people probably already had them in their collection.
I did.
But I guess since you went with an Arrow, I'll go with an Arrow, and I'm going to go with the Conan Chronicles.
Yes.
And so you could buy these individually on Blu-ray or individually on 4K. They sold very, very quickly early on this year. This was like a January or February release from 2024, in that range. So what was left after the array was a few of these were left. So this is what I got before it really went out of stock. I think I bought this from Diabolic because Jesse over at Diabolic said, hey, we got a few of these in stock, but once they're gone, we're not getting any more of these. I don't think anybody else is. So you better get them while you can. So once somebody from one of the companies that we buy from says that, it's like they know what's going to happen. Because once these go out of print, man, collecting stuff out of print is tough. So you get both Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. You get a really big book in here as well. And the reason why I think this is kind of one of my favorites is the Blu-ray releases we had gotten before from Universal that were over a decade old, way over a decade old, weren't that great to begin with. And it's all we have had available for years. So getting these restored in 4K, both of them getting restored in 4K, plus tons of special features. It's probably more specifically concentrated on the first film, because the first film is the better of the two. Conan the Barbarian, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, directed by John Milius, is the better of the two films, in my opinion. Conan the Destroyer is a lot of 80s fun, but nowhere near the kind of the epicness of the first film. John Milius was trying to make this grand epic, and that's kind of what he poured everything into the first film. Unfortunately, they didn't let him make the second film. He just wasn't brought back for the second film, which was unfortunate because I believe the first film was a hit. Like a box office hit. It's obviously a cultural hit. We're talking about it 40 years later or over 40 years later. But yeah, this is a really, really nice release. They both look really, really good. You get, the artwork and reversible artwork, I believe, on both of these, which is really nice. It's just a nice set here. But if you have them individually, you get all the same contents, the on-disc contents, and you get the same booklets, I think, and I think you get the same posters with the artwork and reverse artwork as well. So whether you get them either way, you get all the stuff, which is really nice. You know what I mean? So there wasn't like exclusives. Like if you only get this edition, you get something extra. If you only get that edition, you get something extra.
Like the poster, I think.
Yeah, like posters or stuff. It's like if you want everything in one set, you get them all in one set here.
Yeah, all right. Like it. I got it over there as well. I don't think you got this one, but you know of it. And that is, Severin. I think they're pretty close to being my favorite of the year when it came to what they put out this year. Put out a lot of fun stuff, but this was one of the coolest things I think they put out. The Bruceploitation Game of Clones set here. Now, once again, this goes with that theme of discovery for me. Now, of course, growing up, I obviously knew of Bruce Lee, and I knew that there were movies that were not Bruce Lee, but they know that they looked like Bruce Lee. Like I was always aware of it growing up. I was like, that ain't Bruce Lee, but I'd see the movies and I'd be like, this is still awesome. This is still fun. And of course, like I watched Family Matters growing up, and Steve Urkel turned into Bruce Lee during that. I was always aware that Bruce Lee was such an icon and that people went on to kind of copy him through the years. And this set brings that all together, not only with many films that were Bruceploitation films, but a new documentary by one of the founders of Severin, David Gregory, did this whole documentary kind of taking you through the journey of Bruceploitation. So first of all, what a great idea. Great idea for a set. And that's what Severin does so great with their sets is they put together some of the best ideas for sets, whether it's filmmakers you've never heard of or sectors of cinema that are so undervalued, whether it's nunsploitation or Bruceploitation, or they just Andy Milligan, like they pick some really interesting, exciting ideas for sets, and so this is nothing different. Great book. Once again, another kind of like the booklet type of packaging with all the discs. Great artwork all through this. Of course, great supplemental material. Seven discs, over 100-page book. 23 combined hours of special features in here. So you could spend a whole day just looking at the features here. So another great release from them. I'll be back to them again later.
Coincidentally, Steven, you mentioned who I think had the best year in terms of one of the boutique labels. For me, coincidentally, I don't have the box set that I want to talk about. It's in that order that I keep referencing. But I do want to mention some of their releases here, I guess, to kind of make up for that. And that is Radiance. I think Radiance had one of the best years.
I love Radiance. I'm never going to say I don't love Radiance. I just can't keep up with them anymore.
That's one of the things
is that like, the new Criterion.
I want to get. I'm basically the box set I'm referring to is the Dai Gothic, the Japanese horror films box set. That's an amazing box set with really good films. It's got horror films from I think late 1950s and 60s that are Japanese, and they're all like ghost stories and stuff like that. Think of like Onibaba, Kuroneko, Kwiden, those types of movies. But it's a box set full of maybe ones you haven't heard about. Really good box set. But I've got a few releases here from Radiance just to run a gamut. I think they're all from this year. The Shape of Night. Eye of the Execution, I think, is from this year. The Sting of Death and Black Tight Killers.
I got to get Black Tight Killers. I've heard it's great.
There's a few other ones that came out this year that I want to get. There's a Bounty Hunter 3-film set. They're all films starring the same guy who was in all of the Zatoichi films, and he's like a bounty hunter. I want to get that. There's the Shinobi set, which is really good. I want to get that. Like I said, I got the Diet Gothic that's on the way. But yeah, every single month they announce more titles, and they're all really good stuff. The quality of the releases are great. The movies they're releasing are great. Just really, really awesome stuff from Radiance this year. This was only their second full calendar year of existing, and they did just announce they're getting into the 4K game for 2025.
For sure.
So that should be exciting.
It's good.
Because I think when we had Fran Simeone on last year, he mentioned it. And I think he said they probably won't be re-releasing anything in 4K, kind of like how we're seeing with Arrow and Shout Factory and Criterion. It'll probably be new titles in 4K, which is nice.
I mean, but probably at the time we talked to him, he was acquiring things to put in 4K. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a process, and so there's no reason to go back and and maybe they weren't things he'd already done. Either they aren't available, or you've already put money into them as Blu-rays. Like,
or maybe you hadn't required it yet. I know there's actually what is very interesting about the transparency of the boutique world is sometimes they will tell you there are things they tried to get and they couldn't get. I think Fran had a whole list of movies that he tried to acquire and wasn't able to due to costs or whatever the reason being. So there's a lot of transparency in the movie world, the boutique movie world. But I want to mention Radiance because they have to, because they've been such a prominent staple for chasing labels every single month that I at least needed to mention them.
Humboldt Horror Honey is here late, but says love Radiance. And Jeff K said Tony Adanzda. I can't read shit. And Panic in year zero as well.
I wanted to get Panic in Year Zero.
Yeah.
Panic in Year Zero had I think a Kino release a while ago, but it was like a plain Jane Kino release here. But that Panic in Year Zero is definitely something I want to get at some point.
All right. I'm gonna do two here since it's from the same studio. Two Studio Canal. Studio Canal releases I want to spotlight here. The
Oh, you
Conversation.
son of a! Oh, I was saving it. I was saving it.
Conversation and The Third Man.
Oh, I was saving both of these for like a. Oh, look at them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Both
Two of-
really. Yeah.
Two of the best releases of the year.
Well, I tell you this, The Conversation was the other one I was alluding to when it come to restoration upgrade. The restoration, the look of The Conversation looks amazing in 4K. I mean, it's not to that point of like, oh, they took the grain out and shit. The grain's still there, but there's such a sharpness and vibrant. It's almost like they shot it today. Like it looks so good. And then The Third Man's The Third Man. It looks great. They've always kept it up pretty well. Yeah, so it,
there's been a 4K restoration of this that's been going around for years that has been being shown in theaters and at movie festivals and places like that. So it was about time they put it on a disc for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. These are nice sets. Both, have bells and whistles, especially that Third Man where you open it up and it has music.
Yeah. Oh,
Can you hear it?
No, mine. Hold on.
Is yours broken?
No, God, no. I hope not. I've only opened it like once. But
come on, do it. There it goes. Now we're going to get a copyright strike.
Probably. Ironically, we always get one.
But I love both them sets. The Conversation has a tape in it that you can listen to. I believe the soundtrack is on there or something.
Yeah, it does, which is bonkers to me because no one's giving you cassette tapes anymore.
I think Severin's done. Hadn't Severin done that a couple times?
Severin does it with CDs. I remember.
I know they do CD. I thought maybe Vinegar Syndrome or Severin has done cassette tapes.
Well, they put,
or maybe it was
TerraVision. Yeah, TerraVision does that a lot. TerraVision puts out vinyls too.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's the cassette tape. TerraVision does that, and here's the. I still have it wrapped in plastic. I don't think I'm going to take the plastic off of it ever. Steven, do you even have anything that still plays tapes?
I don't, but I'll go to the local Goodwill and get one if I have to.
I'm trying to think if I have an old boombox or something.
I'm sure you can find a new one. They probably somebody makes one. You could go on Amazon and find one.
Well, I think cassette tapes are kind of trying to make a little bit of a comeback.
Sure.
Similar to the way vinyl has. But vinyl is just such a cool thing that I think vinyl was a cool thing to collect in cassette tapes because you got the big artwork and you can line them up on the shelf. You can frame them if you want to. And the sound of it is so much better than analog tape. Analog tape sound was never good. It was just cheap. Similar to VHS. VHS quality was never good. It was just cheap.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why a VHS won over Betamax, because VHS was, I guess, cheaper to make, but Betamax looked better. Even Laserdisc was better than VHS.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saving those two because those are two of the best releases I think of the year. Deluxe packaging, the upgrades, visually.
The upgrades are great. Now, I don't think the features are not, they're all archival for the most part. I don't think the feature package is like a lot of new stuff.
Right. I'm looking here on The Third Man, and there's just an excerpt from an audio interview with Noreen Ackland. But there is an audio commentary with Guy Hamilton and Simon Callow and Angela Allen.
I don't think I've looked.
I think these are all archival.
Yeah, it's all stuff from previous releases. So that if there's any negative, is that there's not really a lot of new stuff when it comes to features, but the packaging and the restorations on them, and it's just a great presentation. So if you love the movies, these are two kind of classic movies.
But I'll say this though, when it comes to the conversation specifically here in the US, this has way more special features than what we got here on just that Blu-ray that came out a long time ago. Revelatory.
I just think their restoration work is just amazing.
Well, remember, a little Chasing Labels lore here. We talked to James McCoskey over at American Zoetrope, who handles all of the archiving and this type of work for Francis Ford Coppola's back catalog and all the American Zoetrope back catalog. So I'm pretty sure he had a hand.
I'm sure
in this restoration.
Yeah.
And so that definitely hats off to him because I know they've done The Conversation. They've done um, uh, The Outsiders, and plus a bunch of other stuff have gotten restorations. What's that one? Is it One from the Heart? Isn't that the
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
musical that he did that no one ever talks about? The only one that from the '80s that really needs kind of a restoration is Peggy Sue Got Married. That's the one that really kind of needs it. All the other ones, Rumblefish has got a Criterion. The
Yeah.
Outsiders has got a restoration. It's Peggy Sue Got Married, and then Jack, of course.
And then Jack has got, yeah, of course.
Of
Yeah,
course.
we got to get the Studio Canal Jack release, please. Yeah, I wanted to shout them out because I really love them releases. Let's do a few more and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. So now that we went into the heavy hitters again, I guess we can bring out some heavy hitters. So since you went with one of the big heavy hitters, I'll go back to one myself, and this is quite possibly
Son of a bitch! No, I'm just kidding.
one. The Hitcher, Second Sight.
Yeah.
We have waited 3 years for this release.
We're finally getting to it. Talked about it for so long.
We did, because we would just get periodic updates like every couple of months of like, oh yeah, we're still working on it, or yeah, we're working on the restoration. We're trying to find the original elements, which they did miraculously. And then this came out, and it looks amazing, and the packaging is glorious. The movie looks amazing, like it's never looked before. One of the best looking restorations of the year. This thing's like a miracle in the hand. It really is.
So this is the one I was talking about that had Alexander Heller Nicholas's commentary on it.
It does, yeah. Loaded with special features, heavy packaging. The book in here is bigger than most.
I believe there's a script in there as well. Like the script
That's what it is.
Yeah, there's a book that's hardbound,
on,
and then a paperback script, I believe.
Yeah, and it's just massive in scope for this because, like I said, hunting down the original elements and then hunting down to make special features and all this stuff. Yeah, this has got to be the script if I remember, because this is, look at the size of that thing. And then nope, this is the script. I lied.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I screwed it up last time too.
Yeah.
This is the script, and then you get 2-disc 4K, the Blu-ray. There's a smaller standard edition of this you can get. There's a Blu-ray edition of this you can get, but if you're gonna go full tilt, you might as well get it all. Especially
I don't
for
know
this
if you
movie,
can get that edition. It's probably sold out by now.
It's still available, actually.
Is it?
And yeah.
How is that not sold out? But fucking the Keep can sell out and like.
Oh yeah. Let's not talk about the Keep fiasco. 2 fiascos here at the end of the year.
Crappy Michael Mann movie sells out and sells thousands of copies, but you don't want to sell out The Hitcher, which is an amazing movie. It's in a
if anybody wants this release right now, as of this recording, you can go to orbitdvd.com and order it for $60. Yeah. Obviously, you'll have to pay shipping and whatnot, but still, it's still available.
I mean, I get it. It's more expensive than The Keep, but goddamn, it's a way better movie.
It's probably a better movie.
Way better damn movie.
But yeah, we talked about this, I think, on episode 6 of Chasing Labels way back in May of 2021. And it took all the way up until this past fall for this to come out. Well worth the wait, though. Well worth the wait. But yeah, there were 2 releases here at the end of the year that have been kind of a pain to get. And that's the Keep limited edition from Vinegar Syndrome. And to be honest, the Searchers 4K from Warner Archive is kind of a pain to get. It's not that it's a pain; it's just you have to. It's on back. It's on back order, and you got to wait a while to get it. But those 2 are kind of the exception to the overall rule.
Horror Honey thinks that we're cute, we're adorable with our love for the Third Man in the Conversation box sets. She also says, "You don't like The Keep?"
I've actually not seen it. I've seen it.
I've seen it. It's not. It's look. It's not. It's okay. It's fine. Like kind of like weird mystical, kind of like low. Like it's not. It's not a good movie. It's okay, but it's not.
Yeah. What's interesting is
it's got some cool effect. I like some of the practical effects in it.
Well, I think why it's sold so fast is that it's a Michael Mann film, well-known director. It's a 4K. It's getting a good release probably for the first time ever in its existence. Yeah. And anytime you put limited edition on it and you put that Vinegar Syndrome label around it,
I get
it. People grab at it, which is understandable. I do the same thing. But it's sold out so fast. It's sold out in like less than a day.
You know what made me more upset was that the Cannibal the musical sold out too. So
that actually, you know what also sold out very quickly? Hundreds of Beavers, which
yeah,
is
that
also very good. But
yeah,
that
yeah,
was from a smaller. That was from a smaller label, so I
yeah.
can understand they only have so many copies.
That'll probably get revived. I'm
Um,
sure somebody will.
I went on eBay to look for it the other night. $100, $150 for Hundreds of
I
Beavers.
got me a Cannibal the musical for $70, limited.
That's about right. That's
Yeah,
about right
it's
for
not too bad.
what's
That's not
going
like
on.
the worst I could have done. But
Yeah, that's actually not bad in hindsight,
yeah,
probably.
yeah.
The
But
Keep
yeah,
the Keep is like 90 to over 100. Like,
yeah. The movie's not good enough for me to do that. So
yeah.
it's fine.
That's for the limited edition. If you don't give a damn about the limited edition, you can go to vinegarsyndrome.com right now and buy a standard edition of it
Yeah,
for whatever the price is, $30, $40.
yeah.
Um, but we're just talking specifically limited edition. Uh, but what else do you got, Steven? You
I
got
got a couple
anything?
more here. All the Haunts BRs Volume 2 has to be talked
Oh,
about
gee.
because now of course have not gone through this whole set yet, but just kind of looking through the different films in this set, I love the more. It feels like they really pushed the boundaries of like finding other countries, like that like in finding folklore in other countries that they didn't explore in the first set. So I really love the eclecticness of this set. And of course, once again, it's just designed so well. This gold book spine here, it's just amazing. I just love these folk horror is kind of having a thing right now, with not only in these sets, but like in physical media, but in current filmmaking with like Robert Eggers and Ari Aster kind of is in that realm as well. Like we're having kind of a moment with folk horror. So great stuff that I've seen so far out of this, and tons of features. It's another exploration here. So this is a big one, and I'll go ahead and say my last one. This was one of my favorite releases of the year, favorite discoveries of the year, Roadkill from Canadian International Pictures. I just love movies with music, in it. And this is about an assistant who works for this record label who's going out into the field to wrangle a rock band that has kind of went off the rails on their tour. And so it's kind of like a coming of age, like figuring out shit on the, as she's doing it's really clunky and independent and low key. But I really love it. And it kind of has a edge to it and a poignant ending to it that comes out of nowhere. So yeah, I really loved this film, Roadkill from Canadian International Pictures, who just to me keeps putting out awesome films.
They do. They just had a recent announcement of
Keanu and Company.
Keanu and Company, which I think sold out already. At least the limited editions.
The standards are almost out, like less than 300 copies left.
What's interesting is as I watch, it only has. So Keanu did like an after school special, like 30-minute PSA type of thing, and that's what's drawing people to it. And it's like his first like acting gig ever, really.
His first starring thing.
Yeah, it's like his first starring thing. Like he was in something before that where he played like student number 1 or something. It's something like that. But yeah, they've been putting out a lot of good stuff. There's only a couple of movies here and there that I'm like, these are not good. Some of those like those Canadian children special type of things where it's like there was one that's like with an alien. It's like a Christmas thing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't even. It's like the Christmas Martian or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There was a few. There's a few here and there, and this is with almost any label where I'm just that even ones I like even Fun City Editions. I just feel like some of their recent stuff I haven't been as into. Even though I love the label, I still love the label.
But Heavenly Body. Speaking of which, I don't have Heavenly Bodies from Fun City, which is a good release of a movie that no one's ever heard of. Handgun, which I do have, which
Handgun,
is over there.
I do have that here too. Yeah.
That's been on so many people's list. That was on. You know who mentioned that was Tracy Letts, who is apparently a gigantic fan of physical media and has a massive collection. He and Carrie Coon. If you go to Carrie Coon, the actress Carrie Coon's Instagram page, She just posted a picture of all of the movies that they watched on like their movie nights, and it's all like most of it's like boutique label stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
like really, really good stuff. But a couple of things I want to add here, some more criterions. I think I'll just go through real quickly. Lone Star, which I
Good
believe came
stuff.
out this year, the John Sayles film. Finally, this got a Blu-ray release, actually a 4K release of any kind. Really good film. I think this is one where the movie is worth buying just for this edition. It does have a new conversation between Sayles and filmmaker Gregory Nava, who has a film in the collection as well. I think El Norte is his film, if I remember correctly. Great conversation. It's about, I think, like 27 minutes long or whatever, but really awesome thing there. Peeping Tom came out this year as well. Now, Peeping Tom had been available overseas, I think, from
Studio Canal.
Studio Canal. I was thinking BFI for some reason. But the Criterion finally got off their ass and did something, and then put out Peeping Tom in 4K.
And that's another one that has a different
It does have a
artwork.
different artwork than the old DVD. The old DVD has been long out of print.
Yeah.
That thing came out like forever ago.
So they're starting to listen a little bit.
Yeah. So this is great. Yeah, it's got an introduction by Scorsese, which is that's enough to get you to buy it. And then interview with editor Thelma Shoemaker as well. There's a documentary about the film's history. She did interviews with Scorsese and Shoemaker. Great film. And then, of course, I had to mention this, Seven Samurai. I know you just mentioned putting out the same release once again.
Jeff K said he loves the BFI release.
Yes, the BFI release did have different artwork. The BFI release had that screenshot of Toshiro Mifune. The one who's got that mad, crazy look on his face. I believe that's what they used for the cover art for that. This just uses the same old Criterion art that they used for the DVD, that they used for the Blu-ray. This does have the new 4K digital restoration, but it's got all of the old special features from the Blu-ray. So if you have the Blu-ray, not a big surprise here. Usual Digipack style, nothing really too exciting, other than the fact that this is what I think one of the greatest movies ever made is. Do you have anything else, Steven? Because I got a few more things for me to go through before I do like my big one.
Oh, you got that many more? Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, well, I do want to mention the Mexico trilogy.
Well, didn't we say like 10 and this turned into like 20 a piece or something?
I lost count a while ago.
Yeah.
But the Mexico trilogy, the Robert Rodriguez, I know this was a big labor for Arrow just to make this happen. Unfortunately, you only get Desperado in 4K, but it looks amazing. El Mariachi and Once Upon a Time in Mexico are only on Blu-ray, but I believe they're from new scans or new something. Because the old Blu-rays kind of desperately needed, especially El Mariachi. El Mariachi was made for like $5,000. It was made for like nothing. So that movie needs all the help it can get when it comes to preservation and restoration. But this was a nice set that I think I bought during one of the Arrow sales at Barnes and Noble. So you get them like so, and it's a 4-disc set because you get Desperado on Blu-ray and 4K on 2 separate discs. Yeah. But Steven, do you have anything else?
No, that was it for me.
And then the big one, which I thought you were going to
that
is Frank Capra at Columbia.
Yeah.
This gigantic set here is kind of the crown jewel of Sony's celebrating the 100 years of Columbia Pictures. And I think it's all of Frank Capra's work up until the late 1930s. It's, what does it say here? It's 9, there's 20 movie set, 9 movies are on 4K. It's got basically stuff that he did during the silent era and then the talkie era. It opens up like this, and you just got tons.
You can tuck the doors in, by the way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you could tuck the doors into the holes.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, well, you know. Yeah. Oh, well, it's a solid set, but still, I'm afraid of messing it up.
Well, yeah, you don't want to mess it up, but yeah, it could tuck in so you can keep the doors open like that.
Oh, see, like that. Yeah. So as you see here, there's Blu-rays and 4Ks mixed in. Towards the later end is where you get like his more well-known stuff, like Mr. Deeds Comes to Town, Lost Horizon. You Can't Take It With You, and you get a documentary here of Frank Capra's like life and career, which
I want to watch that.
New.
Yeah, I want to watch
that's really
that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I did hear there were some issues with a lot of people getting scratched discs, so check your discs if you do get this set. this was something that I waited like a month to get after its release because I didn't expect it to be so grand. It's so
Yeah,
grand. For somebody who's like me, if you're a classic Hollywood fan, you love the golden age of Hollywood, this is like a crown jewel of a set, specifically because it's from a mainstream studio. We do not see mainstream studios putting out movies of this era in box sets of this size pretty much ever.
yeah,
This is something that a boutique label would do. I remember when I posted about this, our friend Michael Brook, who works over with Indicator, said they tried to get a lot of the early Frank Capra stuff, and Sony just wasn't interested in licensing them out because I guess they were working on this set.
yeah,
And I know that Indicator would, of course, probably done an amazing set, but it probably would have been so damn expensive for a boutique label to make a set similar to this, or even to break this up into individual sets, to put in the work that they do when it comes to the restorations and the special features. It probably would have been a hell of a feat. Not that they couldn't do it, but it would have cost them a lot of money. And of course, mainstream studios have more money than the boutiques. So that was just a surprisingly beautiful set from Sony. I saw a lot of people post on it on Instagram and TikTok and such. Made me super jealous. But I got my copy. I don't know when I'm going to have time to delve into this. I've seen a lot of the later era Frank Capra stuff in here, but
yeah,
of course, like the silent era stuff has never been on disc before.
yeah,
So this is like a unprecedented type of release.
for sure.
So definitely my release of the year when it comes to boutique or mainstream.
Really?
Uh, but
Wow.
Steven, there's still so much we didn't get to talk about
Of course,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
because there's
There's a lot
so
of
much
stuff.
that happened in 2024.
Yeah, and a lot of it just keeps coming, man. They just keep surprising us, and not surprising us. Sometimes they just keep re-releasing shit, but but I am always excited to keep up with this, even though I'm not on the main show anymore. You'll see me more often, hopefully, this coming year. So,
Yeah, we
um,
do have some comments here.
yeah,
Um, Humboldt Horror Honey did say All the Haunts Be Ours. Yeah, that volume 2 is still gorgeous. The Louis Foulade box set from Eureka.
yeah,
That's we
yeah,
talk about early silent era. That stuff's from like 1913. Like that's early silent era. That box set's becoming harder to get. So if you can snag that and you can afford it, definitely get it because it's sold out quickly. Yeah, a lot of Criterion stuff was really good this year. Dogfight
yeah,
was one of my favorites as well because of just that movie going from like a made on demand DVD from Warner Archive to a Criterion Blu-ray is like incredible.
yeah,
Is like incredible stuff. Train Spotting
yeah.
got a nice release as well. I am probably not a fan of the 4K. That movie is dark as heck entirely as well. That
Well,
does
the
make sense.
packaging was the controversy with
That's what it
that
was.
release.
It
Yeah,
was it was like a wasn't it like a digibook
it's a
packaging a
weird
la
folded like thing. Yeah, I got
yeah,
it up here. Yeah,
it was similar. I don't know if you remember the Princess Bride digibook release from Criterion, the Blu-ray of that. And then they did the 4K in the same packaging as
yeah,
well. Um, it looks similar to that, but super thin. It was like really thin. The Train Spotting was,
yeah.
and they
It's
put like a plastic
not.
cover over it too, and it wasn't the right size.
It's not
Uh,
good. It was not good
Anywho,
packaging.
they re-released it in a regular packaging.
Yeah,
So that kind of eccentric, crappy packaging is kind of a collector's item.
I got it. I got that crappy package edition. But I guess that goes along with the crappy things that happen in that movie. Um, but all right. Well, that is it for our favorites of the year. Of course, if you have not subscribed to Chasing Labels, please do that. And you can also get this on audio form here in the next couple days. And of course, I think you'll have the return of Chasing Labels this coming Monday with Andrew. He'll be back talking some releases that happened over the holidays. And then we'll have another installment of the Unwatched pile sometime here in the end of the month. So watch out for that. But with that said, I hope everybody had a good holiday, good new year, and we will see you guys around. Have a good night.